All right, so we should be live now. All right, everyone. I am here with Drew Taylor, also known as the Supreme Heretic, also from Bounding into Comics. No script doctor, and apparently no Tom either. We think they're both sleeping.
Yeah, the sleep demon came to get him, man. Maybe Freddie was making the rounds, but no. In all seriousness, chat, they've been really burning the candle lately, and I think all of us have during this crazy quarantine life. So so they're probably getting some much needed rest, which is cool because CD and I we got this.
Yeah, man, it's been pretty brutal. It's like I actually got done making my video from last night at a decent hour,
Hmm.
and then I went to bed and I couldn't fall asleep. So I'm fucking tired.
Yeah, I know how it is, dude. I've kind of like since probably about 8 a.m. this morning. I got up for a few hours and I fell back to sleep. But, on and off, I've been talking to people all day, about, people I've approached about writing and whatnot. And, so I've kind of been talking to aspiring writers all day. And then it's like, my goodness, I've been busy with that and then show prepping for the other stream and everything else. So yeah, it's been a busy day here too.
It sounds like it, man. Yeah, it was funny. Last year, I was thinking about doing my own site called Pixel Nation. I registered the domain and
Hmm.
everything. I got it set up and running,
Hmm.
and I never pulled the trigger on it. And part of that was, I guess, trying to find people to write as well. And then it's like, do I have the time to invest in this? Because this is obviously going to take away time from YouTube,
Hmm.
especially if I'm trying to write something on a regular basis. And that's like my big thing. It's like if I could write something, it would probably be weekly.
Right. Yeah, I think for me, this is very much a passion project, and because I'm not my main YouTube content is mostly streaming content anyway, because and that's what I'm used to. I came to this world from Twitch anyway, so I'm just naturally more of a streamer than I am a video maker, and that's just what I'm used to. So I can invest more of the time on the site side and do my thing writing, which I enjoy doing that too. And I think a lot of people that I've met around the fandom community know me more from my writing than in some cases, my YouTube channel content. So, I love that. I love communicating with people in that manner and being a journalist because, it's so important now, whether you're a YouTuber or if you're a print journalist, if you're somebody that's a broadcaster, broadcast journalism, it's so important now because the mainstream media has just, really eroded a lot of trust with the people. And, the people, the population at large is turning around and finding alternative methods to gather their information. So, remember those of you out there with YouTube channels, or if you write or whatever you do, you're directly communicating with people now because they're paying attention to you, not the mainstream media. They're getting their information and entertainment now from you, and take heart in that because this is the time to unleash your creative side, be a content creator, explore journalism, whatever is your passion in that manner. Getting information out is definitely a great time to do it now.
Yeah, definitely for sure, especially with everyone being home.
Well, yeah, and just like I said, the way that people are changing the ways in which they gather their information. Yeah, it's definitely a changing of the guard for sure. Traditional newspapers, and I think people watching cable news, is kind of passe at this point. And a lot of it has to do with that eroded trust, like I was saying.
It's really interesting. If you guys have been kind of paying attention to like the news and I guess like the talking head shows and how everybody has been doing it from home, I think that's really funny. It's like this is the thing that YouTubers have been doing forever, and now you see like these professionals doing it. It's
Oh, it's so uncomfortable. It's just hilarious because they're like a fish out of water. They don't know what to do.
yeah,
And we're just like we're just like sitting here watching it like, oh my god, you noob. Because it's like, we've been doing this forever.
yeah, man, it's really crazy. And the thing too, why it's a good time to be a YouTuber is because everyone's at home. Eventually, the cable television stuff is going to dry up
Hmm.
because of what's going on. This is like the time period where they're typically getting the next season ready. So I'm curious to see what this fall is going to look like and next year is going to look like. So should be
There's
interesting.
also too, comics division on the news side. And I'm looking at the chat. I see quite a few people in here, and that I know from different streams and whatnot. Shout out to you, to Helium 29. I see you, buddy. It's good to see you as well.
Yeah, tell
No,
you, man, he's been around. He's been around
yeah,
forever.
yeah. He's a
He's
good dude. He's good
Yeah,
people.
he really is. I want to say he was probably one of my in my first 100 subs.
Yeah, he always comes to our bounding into comic streams all the time when we're live on Wednesday. So yeah, Tahim, he's a smart cookie and a good supporter, man. Love that guy. But but yeah, right now, there's a lot of people disseminating information that aren't afraid to ask the hard questions, and it's stuff that to be fair, you guys, you're not going to get watching any mainstream media news or anything else, radio news, TV news. You're not going to get it there. There's a lot of YouTubers that'll come on here and tell it like it is, or they'll ask the right questions. There's quite a lot of thought-provoking streams that I've seen of people like trying to like suss out the bullshit basically, and really get down to the roots of okay, who, what, why, when, where, as far as the current crisis that we're in, and they're asking a lot of really relevant and tough questions. You're not getting that in mainstream coverage at all.
No, and the thing that's kind of scary too is that we're probably looking at another YouTube purge at some point. You know,
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're already coming down on people talking about the next jump in technology. The next level up from 4G. They're coming down on people for talking about that. They're coming down on people for talking about microchipping and things like that. So it's weird. Like you said, comics division. I think there's going to be. I think your instincts are right, my friend. I think there is going to be another purge coming soon, because it seems like, for whatever reason, if you start going down that rabbit hole, barking up that tree, they don't want you talking about that, and it makes me, as a journalist, first thing I want to say, it makes my antennas go up and say, okay, why do they not want me asking questions about that? Why do they not want me
well,
talking about
it's
that?
interesting because this is something that Tim Pool talks about a lot, and there's another YouTuber. I want to say his name is Luke Rukowski. I hopefully said the last name right. From
Mm-hmm.
We Are Change, and he got demonetized.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if his channel has been taken down yet, but there's like another YouTuber. I think she is a lesbian feminist, and then she kind of got pissed off a bunch of stuff and went towards the center. And she recently got demonetized. I don't know if they booted her channel either, but it's crazy. It is crazy. So this is like a really good time to be a YouTuber, but at the same time, it's a terrible time because of YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, censorship is alive and well, and that's the one thing that can be discouraging. But you know, I know a lot of you folks that are watching and listening. You're you're proud folks, and you have a good moral compass and a good understanding of the fact that you're not getting all the facts from the mainstream. I tend to think that the audiences that come to our channels, they skew very intelligent, and I believe that you folks are no different. I know a lot of you guys are very intelligent, and don't be afraid to ask the tough questions. Don't be discouraged, because they will come at you and they'll try to say, wag their finger at you and say, "Oh, don't talk about that. Don't ask that question. Don't look at that." But now is the time to ask questions. Just remember
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah. And that's the big thing is I always say you got to be skeptical of basically everything these days.
Absolutely, absolutely. Take it with the skeptical eye. You should.
So I think this is pretty funny. This is something that Maranya is pointing out. Actually, I'm going to highlight your comment, Maranya. Um, YouTube has gone respectable when comic book professionals, writers, artists are jumping on and getting an audience. See Gail Simone, Donny Cates, Dan Slott, and so on. I actually tried looking for Donny Cates's YouTube channel. I couldn't find it. I found Gail Simone's, and I actually have more subscribers than she does. I mean, granted, she's only been around, I guess, for like a couple weeks at this point, but still, I just thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah,
I don't think
you
she's going to be
know.
that popular.
No, I don't think so either. Because they're shouting in a vacuum. They're basically putting out those same politically correct talking points, everything else, the same tired shit that people know is really, a lot of it is hollow arguments and bullshit when you break it down. When you actually try to have a debate with people that push that kind of rhetoric, a lot of times you can find the holes in it, and you can just absolutely rip it to shreds. Because when you do that, when you do that, it's funny, because the person pushing that kind of rhetoric, as soon as you make an educated observation and bring logic to the table, they immediately shy away. There's no counter argument. They immediately go to pulling out the name calling card at that point, and that's when they'll go into the whole thing where it's probably like rehearsed to them now, like, "Oh, you're a racist, you're a misogynist, if you're a woman, they'll tell you you have internalized misogyny."
I think
you
that's like
know
the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Exactly, and then that's the thing. But when you try to engage those type of people, very oftentimes in logical debate, they'll crack under the pressure, because they don't have logical support for their argument. So it absolutely erodes away the minute you try to engage them in deep logic, basically.
Yeah. Oh man, what's up, John Delarose? It's been a while. How you doing, dude? I was trying to type your name and I apparently screwed up and hit enter by mistake. But I am doing well, man. I hope you guys are doing good.
What's going on, Del Rose? What's up, man?
I need to know if you're doing another round of Flying Sparks because I think I got all 3 volumes. I just need to go to read them now. But okay, so let's go ahead and start hitting up on some of the topics here.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so the first thing I kind of sent out was the whole thing. There was this article from CBR, and let me see if I can figure out how to share this because I have not shared anything on YouTube.
CBR, that's a hell of a publication.
It certainly is. Oh man. Okay.
Welcome, computer robots. Hello.
Oh, I can even share a tab. That's pretty slick. All right. So, oh, there we go. Yay! I successfully did something right. Okay, so there was this article that was posted the other day. Yeah. Oh shit, 2 days ago at this point. So it was basically these two editors that came out that worked on the Last Jedi, and they basically said during this podcast, which was a Mission Impossible podcast, that Johnson thought it was different to take on Star Wars, and basically that he was doing a deconstruction of the film.
Mm-hmm.
Which was one of them said, and I'll just go and highlight it here. I'll just read the quote. To Ryan's credit, he stuck to what he wanted to do. He wanted to deconstruct the film and go a different direction. And I know it's controversial, but it isn't that good. And then the other editor, Markey, basically added this all the way here. It was a very strange to have the second film so consciously undo the storytelling of the first film. I'm sorry. That's what it felt like. So apparently one thought it was cool, the other one didn't like it. And
Yeah.
of course, if you've already watched the interview that he did, he talked about how he didn't give a shit about the canon, or canon in general. So like no surprise there.
Yeah, no surprise.
Yeah, that's
we, we
unfortunate.
we pretty much already knew that about him, but I mean, I think the second guy is right, because you can see clearly when you watch TLJ, it definitely throws the entire story out of seven. Absolutely, it does.
Oh, it
And
completely does.
you can clearly see it as you watch on through the movie what it's doing, because it just does its own thing. It feels like you're in a bubble watching it, because it does throw out seven. So it leaves the viewer that's supposed to be viewing a trilogy, by the way, in a weird place, because there's nothing about it. It's like, well, wait a second. I thought this character was going one way, and then all of a sudden, it's just not at all what it is. And and I think it was very confusing to the viewer, and then to have it just blatantly throw everything out. Yeah, it turned a lot of people off. Even if you had just even if you're a casual Star Wars watcher and you just had started watching from Force Awakens, it would really screw with your continuity. People, there's something to be said for continuity. People like continuity.
Oh, absolutely.
And when you have the continuity go out the window like that, yeah, it's definitely going to take a lot of interest away. And then of course, it really caused the sequel trilogy a mortal wound when it did that, because there was no way that they were going to recover everything onto the original path that they had set in enough time. Episode 9 did not leave them the room, nor did it leave them the time. And it was directly, episode 8 was directly responsible for that. So yeah, I kind of was happy that 9 retconned 8, but I think they had to do too much retconning, and it also caused the other part of it, which was they left much of episode 9 on the cutting room floor. So with the edits, the reshoots, and everything else, it pretty much doomed episode 9 to failure.
Well, the other thing too, this is something I always heard, and I kind of thought was true, is that they did have a plan. They had a plan for the
Mm-hmm.
trilogy, And what ended up happening is that Ryan Johnson came in, looked at the script, wiped his ass with it, threw it over his shoulder, and said, "I'm gonna do whatever I want."
Hmm.
And basically, Disney empowered him to do that. And
Oh yeah, Kathleen Kennedy thought it was great. Oh, you do an art house movie.
yeah,
Oh, you're super feminist. Okay. All he had to say was he was super male feminist, and she was down.
I don't know, man. It's pretty funny. Yeah, I have a lot of conspiracy theories around Star Wars specifically, and just how freaking crazy things have gotten, like with the prequels. And yeah, it was pretty funny. This one dude, when I was on World Class Bullshitters, the High Council earlier this week, and I was
Hmm.
talking about this with Jeff, and I was bringing up the whole thing with the documentary, The People versus George Lucas.
Right.
And someone tweeted at me, calling me a toxic fanboy because I thought the documentary was good, and
It
because it
was good.
crapped all. Yeah, it was good. And he was mad that that I liked it because it crapped all over George Lucas. And it's like, well, yeah, the dude, he fucked up, all right, and that's just kind of thing, and that's unfortunate. That's what happened, but he did. And part of it is the reason why the prequels were such a travesty was the fact that he surrounded himself with a bunch of yes men that basically just smiled and nodded. And you can see they have that, like those interviews that were going on where he's like telling these things, and they're all like smiling and nodding, and you can see the expressions on their face where they're just like mortified. They're like, this is not a good idea. And that was the thing with the first three, well, at least the first two for sure, is that you had Gary Kurtz, and he kept Lucas in line. People that were there
Right.
to kind of keep Lucas in line, and that was
He had
basically
dudes.
it.
Yeah, early on, he had guys that would call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
They tell him, they tell him, dude, that idea is horseshit. Don't do that. Or
Exactly, and that's kind of the thing. If you're a creative person, and I've done some independent film stuff,
hmm.
and there's nothing worse than somebody telling you, "Oh yeah, everything's great," and then it's just like everything's not great. You got to have that reality check. You have to be able to take criticism, and if something doesn't work, you have to have the right people around you that can be honest with you, that can basically tell you, dude, this is dumb. And that's the problem with I think that happened with the prequels, is that he surrounded himself with a
Yeah.
bunch of yes men. They said it was great, and we got the mess that we got.
Yeah. I mean, I want to have, like, especially if I'm in a situation like, writing a book, or even just journalistic wise, if I've got somebody writing a story, or I'm going to write a story, I want somebody to look at it and say, hey, that story looks like shit, and here's why. So I'm going to be able to go in and fix the issues, but at least have them be honest to me that there's actually issues, and not say, oh, it's so good, Drew. I don't want to hear that. If there's problems with it, I want you to say, dude, this is not going to fly. You need to fix this shit before you put it up.
Yeah,
You know, um, Man, that's a good comment right there, JDA. Good shit.
yeah,
Tried to watch
it really is,
TLC.
man. And the other thing too is that anytime I put up a video, there's times where I'm like, you know what, I didn't have time to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
I bet someone's gonna call me out on it, and it typically doesn't happen because I mean, I'm like the first person that sees holes in my own arguments,
Mm-hmm.
um, and sometimes I try to explore those because I try to give an honest opinion on something that I'm criticizing.
Right.
Honest being the key word, and it's like you gotta be, and that's the thing. You have to be honest in what was it? I'm trying to remember. Oh, when I was criticizing Gotham High. Oh my god, I finally finished it, folks. That book is terrible. Oh my god, it is so terrible. But a review will be coming Monday. I have the day off, and I'm gonna spend that working, figuring out that review. And it's like, there's times where DC has done something like that. So they take an existing property, they change it up, and it works. And the thing I brought up was Batman Creature of the Night, which was a graphic novel,
Mhm.
a series of kind of thicker novels that was a pretty short run. I would say it was like maybe 3 or 4 books, and it was a good story. It was a really good story,
Right.
and I tried to juxtapose that with the whole thing with Gotham High, and it's like this is not even Batman. Even though Batman Creature of the Night is not Batman, it still kind of is. It's a different way of like spending the material or doing something with it. But it was such an interesting story that it worked. Where Gotham High is basically Gossip Girl. I've been munging it together and calling it
Yeah.
Gotham Girl, and it's just
Well, here.
so bad.
Well, here's a problem that I see with Gotham High, and and trust me, being a Filipino guy, being Asian. Hey, look, I'm happy. Asian people are getting opportunities, man. It's great, but the problem is that this particular gal that did Gotham High, you know I don't think she has a whole lot of experience, number one. And number two, I don't think she really, even cursory glanced over, the existing source material of Batman, so that you had a really, at least somewhat of an idea of what the character was supposed to be like. And she's even admitted that
Oh yeah.
in the interviews that she's had, because she said, her husband knows it even more than she does. She doesn't really know it. She was just going to take it and do whatever she wants with it. And then when you have somebody that does that, that doesn't even know, have even a cursory knowledge of the material that came before, well, you know that it's definitely not going to honor the. It's not going to be, Batman in any form or fashion. This is just like has Batman dressing on the outside, but this is a girl's way of portraying, crazy rich Asians or something else.
Yeah.
Whatever her fantasy is about this, and it's like, it doesn't belong.
Well,
First off,
the funny thing about it is that
yeah,
if you went and changed the name of the city and some of the landmarks and the character names, it has absolutely nothing to do with Batman.
no,
It's like it's completely different. It is such a generic CW um, female. I don't want to say female centric, but drama show. It's fucking Gossip Girl. I mean, there's no one. It's no other way around it. It's just Gossip Girl. It's dumb.
well,
Okay, and the reason why I read it, guys, is because I tweeted at Yellow Flash because he bought it, and he's like, "Hey, he's like, we're thinking about doing a live stream roasting it. You interested?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll do it." I had no intention of actually going and reading this book, so I blame Yellow Flash.
well, here's another observation too. And it's again continually they continue to give these type of people jobs because I think I don't know if it's to satisfy the EEOC quota, whatever it is. I have no idea, but I know that these people aren't qualified. We've got tons of qualified people sitting in this independent community right now that aren't getting jobs that are far more qualified than these people that they're hiring. Problem is they're hiring these people and then doubling down by giving them ridiculous latitude on high level characters that should be only reserved for like the most experienced writers to be tackling. I mean, you're not going to take like your franchise players and leave them in the hands of a raw rookie that doesn't understand it. I mean, why would you do that? That's just asking to have, your hardcore legacy main player characters, screwed up that already have like a super established following and are basically what drives your sales. You're
Yeah.
asking for people to just screw those up, and it's like it's ridiculous. They should be reserved only for the most experienced writers to be working on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's my take. Am I wrong for thinking that way?
No, I don't think so. Because I know that the argument for criticizing Gotham High is, well, we've had Elseworld stories before, and of course my retort is, yeah, but they were good. Well, most of them, I suppose.
Yeah, there was some sort of coherence because of the fact that at least the people that did those knew the material.
Yeah. Oh man. So yeah. Oh, and Nano Reaper. Unfortunately, I have it digitally, so I can't even use this toilet paper.
Oh god, man, I feel sorry for you, dude. I really do.
It's okay, dude. It's okay. It's content at this point. It'll be a fun roast. I'm probably gonna have to script this one. I'm gonna have to go through it and God help me reread it and take notes and come up with a script because it's uh I made a tweet in the middle of the night. It was like a couple nights ago. I was like, this book. It's like I want to bash myself in the head with a baseball bat to lose all memory of this book. It's that bad.
God. Oh my goodness, dude.
Let's see. MCR, dude, give me a second here. Let me go find my tweet and I'll show it to you. So I did this this Photoshop job of Alyssa Milano. Oh, I am so fucking mean. I really am. Let me pull this up and share it. Ah, crap. Oh, damn it. Oh, there we go. All right. Just want to make sure this thing worked right. Do. And there we go.
Oh, that's great.
That is a fraud and a hypocrite.
That is great. Yeah, I think you portrayed her accurately.
Oh, dude. Crap. Oh, hang on a second. Inception. Stop sharing. All right, there we go. I don't know what happened there. I guess I shared the wrong thing. But anyway, yeah. So I did that. So there's the whole thing where she was supporting Biden and whatnot. And I don't want to get too deeply into it, but her comments really pissed me off.
Oh yeah,
and I heard about the whole thing where she was dressed as a handmaid at the Kavanaugh hearing with that sign. Is like, dude, I have to say she's a fraud because she is.
Oh, she absolutely is, dude. I mean, look at how she waffles on shit, and it's like, are you kidding me right now? I mean, my goodness, even friggin' Rose McGowan called her out.
Oh, dude, at least I can't stand Rose McGowan, but at least Rose McGowan's consistent.
Yeah, she is. She is. I mean, and it's hilarious because you've got two major like SJW chicks fighting it out, but it's funny as hell because at least you can look at Rose McGowan and say, okay, she's consistent with the shit that she believes. Alyssa Milano is totally over here on the other side, waffling back and forth, tap dancing to whichever way the wind blows. And it's like, come on, girl. You want to go on Twitter and bitch about shit all day long and stuff that you quote unquote advocate for. But, then you want to come out and have your cake and eat it too. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Very true.
So it's like, own your shit or no.
Oh man, this is pretty funny. I like comics' laid back style. He's like the dude of comics. I'm unfortunately not that cool, man. Not that cool.
Yeah,
But I
and
appreciate it.
he's fibbing, Chad. Comics division actually is that cool.
Well, part of it is like my sense of humor is actually pretty self-deprecating, so that's part of it.
Well, when it gets down to it, actually, dude, you're one of the nicest guys I know, man.
Oh,
It's
thanks,
it's
man. I
it's
appreciate it.
great to be your friend, but you're also just brutally honest, and I like that about you, because I try to be the same way. I always tell people, look, I'm going to be 100% as real as it gets.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's the thing, man. It's like my roast, man. I'm not gonna say that they're the best, no, but I'm brutal, dude. There's some shit I get pretty brutal on.
Yeah.
And it's
Well,
like
it's
dude,
not
it's
like
like am I being too mean sometimes?
no, if something sucks, man, you
Yeah.
just call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
Not enough people do that shit. They're like, if you don't find absolutely any redeeming value in something, if there's just nothing there, then you just say, "Fuck, there's nothing here. This is just a hot fucking turd."
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Eric Breen and Ed Brewer have been around long enough to probably seen quite a few of my roast videos, so or my
yeah.
reviews. And yeah. Comics has a big wheel. No, just Shinobi. I don't own a motorcycle. My wife, it was funny a while back. She's like, why don't you own a motorcycle? I was like, are you kidding? I would kill myself.
Dude, I'll tell you what though. On a side note, back in the day when I was younger, I used to have a sport bike, and let me tell you, you get one of those, they're addictive. They are addictive.
Matt Season asking, did I read Gotham Academy? No, I did not. Um, it wasn't a book that really kind of appealed to me, so I just didn't bother reading it. Some people said it was good. I'm not surprised if it was. I know it was actually written by a comic book writer. So, but yeah, man, I didn't read it. So up next, let me go and find. Oh, I already had the article pulled up. Let me go and share it then. Stop showing me this. Here we go. AMC. Wow, dude. I mean,
Yeah,
whew. This is some serious shit, folks. This is some
yeah,
serious
and
shit.
and big shout out to my coworker at Bounding into Comics, Donald Edmonds, for writing this story. He did a really good job on this article.
Yeah. It was really interesting because we all know that because of the quarantine that's going on around the nation and around the world, people can't go out and do things. I was fortunate enough to go see a movie like right before the lockdown with my cousin, and it was the My Hero Macadamia or My Hero Academia. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Not to be confused with the Tim Lim comic
Hmm.
movie. I've never watched My Hero Academia. It was actually really good, and that's kind of the funny thing we were talking about afterwards with the whole thing with American movies and cartoons and stuff and entertainment in general just being complete trash, where the Japanese do it right.
They
So
really do.
yeah, they really do.
Oh, yeah.
They focus on story, character development, and it's just really good. And it's not saying that there isn't like terrible anime and terrible manga, but most of the stuff that comes out that I've seen is typically done very well. Um, but now that we're in the quarantine zone, AMC is obviously they have like zero income at the moment, and they're absolutely screwed. So here they are. They basically furloughed over 25,000 employees. They can't pay the rent, and their credit has been downgraded.
Oh yeah, dude. They went to like triple C minus from a B.
Yeah.
That's a long way down.
It's oh man, it's nuts, man. Because
That's a
even here,
long
so
way down, dude.
here's the actual tweet. So they basically can't do anything. They say 6 to 12 weeks, so that is 3 months, roughly 3 months.
Yeah.
And this is funny because this is what I've been saying with the whole thing is that we're looking at I've been saying like roughly 3 months, um, or more. So they're
Well,
going to have zero income for 3 months. They can't pay their rent. They can't pay their employees. They've obviously had to shut down, excuse me, their corporate headquarters. And they have over 1,000 theaters. Let me find the actual line in the article here. Ah, here we go. This is the one I'm talking about right here. So they have 1,000 theaters with over 1,100 screens across the globe, and I'm curious to see what happens next year when they reopen. I imagine if they are still in business, that they are not going to have 1,000 theaters.
no. And I think naturally they're probably, um, like it says, deadline speculated Chapter 11 might be an option. I think that probably would be a likely option for them, but it's like I said, they may decide to get out of the business entirely if they're in too dire straits. And I'll be honest, if AMC goes, then the multiplex theater, as you know it, folks, is going to be gone. The only thing that's going to be left for a theater experience is those specialty theaters that maybe have a coffee shop, a pizzeria, microbrewery type of thing. And those are few and far between because those are scattered in different states. Some states don't even have those type of things. But that's what I'm saying. It's only going to be like those niche novelty theaters that are left. Anything multiplex, be it AMC, Regal, those type of things, those are going to go under. They're done. What's going to happen is all you're going to have left is niche stuff for any sort of theater experience. And if we have to go on an extended period of social distancing for a while, if there happens to be a relapse of this stuff or whatever, the only thing safe left after that is the drive-in model. They're going to go back to the drive-in model. And I don't even think many of those will open back up. There'll just be some that they can, probably refurbish and open, and it probably doesn't cost all that much to do it, and that'll be that. But you're not gonna see the typical movie theater business the same way, because I think it's gonna be gone. And Ed Brewer, I know you were crushed when they died, but trust me, there's good potential here for those to make a comeback on a limited basis, but still make a comeback.
Yeah, I want to say that it was in the last decade where the last drive-in in my city died, and that was Mission Drive-In. I want to say they closed down within a decade. But the other thing too, the really funny thing about um, movie theaters is that we have a local chain here called Santikos,
Mm-hmm.
and they will weather the storm. And the reason why is because Santikos is actually owned by Mr. Santikos, who owns the company,
Okay.
is in real estate. So he owns a lot of land. Everything that he owns, all the theaters he owns, are not being rented. He actually owns them.
Okay.
So if they're closed, yeah, he's losing money, but it's not like he's not able to pay rent because he actually owns the land and he
Yeah.
actually owns the building.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's
Well,
like
it's going to be different for businesses like that, but the majority of them are on leases,
exactly.
and they're going to be done.
Well, not only that is that he can basically use his real estate business to supplement and keep alive his theaters, which
Right.
is what will happen. Now we also have Alamo Draft House.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what's going to happen with them. I don't know much about Alamo Draft House other than the fact that they started in Austin and they're here as well.
Yeah.
And I want to say we have 3 or 4 now. It used to be we had the one, and now they just kind of sprouted up everywhere all over town. They're probably not going to be in a very good situation. So whether they'll come back is questionable. Um, I believe my comic shop, Heroes and Fantasies, will come back as well because the owner of Heroes and Fantasies does other stuff. So he's
Right.
able, and it's ridiculous because one of the guys I talked to, he's one of the managers there. He was telling me about how their back room is filled with unsold books. The owner's garage is filled with boxes of unsold books, and he has a whole storage unit filled with boxes of unsold books. And it's funny because I asked them, it's like, why are you buying all these 25 covers of Iron Man #1 then? He's like,
Yeah.
that's what he wants to do. I'm like, okay. But a third of that store sales is comics. The rest of it is like toys, games, cards,
Right.
not comics.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you got another hustle, I mean, you'll be fine. A
Exactly.
lot of these places are one trick ponies, like especially the multiplexes in the case of the theater. So, you know, niche stuff will survive. Like Alamo Draft House, it has a good model; it will survive. Um,
I
you know,
hope so. I hope so.
but but yeah, by and large, like I said, I'm just thinking of it as far as the drive-ins go. Chat. Let me expand on that. It's like I said, I'm thinking of it from the social distancing standpoint. If we have another period of social distancing, drive-in then makes sense as a model because that's something that could sustain a social distancing period.
Yeah. And what Rowan is saying in Australia, they're looking at what, like 6 months, so September. And I wouldn't be surprised, Rowan, if it goes to September for us here in the States as well. I would not be surprised.
Yeah, yeah. No, nobody knows right now when the different peaks are going to hit around as far as the beer bug. So
Yeah.
nobody knows.
It's all kind of crazy, man. But yeah, AMC, we have one theater. I think it's one here in town. So I don't think it's going to reopen. I really don't.
Yeah, probably not. I don't think the AMC's around here are either.
Fortunately, the majority of the theaters in town are San Antico's.
Right. That's good.
So I think we'll be fine. But the thing that's going to be rough, man, for these theaters is the fact that Hollywood's not producing, um, you know, television's not producing, even for the streaming services. Nobody's making content right now,
Hmm.
and I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens over the next year because
Well, if you think about it, and CD, I'm a gamer, so I can speak on this. Like, if you think about it, like a massively multiplayer online game, guys. Then think about your favorite MMO, and when you go through periods let's say you play something like Star Trek Online or Star Wars: The Old Republic. Both of those are known for having content droughts. Well, this is what Hollywood's doing right now. You're in the midst of a content drought. It's what's happening with movies, with TV, with books are fine. People are still writing books. You don't have to worry about you know any shortage of novels or independent comics or things like that. People are still putting books out, but you know, TV and movies, forget it. And it's a content drought. People don't like content droughts.
no, they don't. Well, I mean, fortunately, there's like enough television that they can just do reruns of stuff, and like with
Yeah.
the talking head shows, they can basically remote in using Zoom or Skype or something like that.
Yeah,
Um,
but those are god awful anyway.
yeah, no, it's not anything I fucking
Okay.
watch, but it was really funny. Somebody was showing was it Stephen Colbert without his audience,
Yeah.
and it was just like so fucking painful, man. It was
Toxic Man
really
Flu.
awkward.
Toxic Man Flu says I miss live sports. Toxic. Look, I miss live sports too, to a degree. I'm a football guy. I like watching, American football. So I miss that. Heck, I miss baseball at this point. But that's just, there's nothing there. There's nothing to watch. And nobody's going to put their players at risk at the moment um, to start a season. It's just not going to happen. If anything, all three leagues are going to err on the side of caution. The only thing that is written in stone for sure is in a few weeks we'll have the NFL draft. That's they are doing that, but that's going to be I think, all remotely. Blood Bowl over football, yeah. Blood Bowl.
Have you ever played Blood Bowl?
Yeah.
I love it. It's
I,
fun.
I remember, my God, dude, there used to be this game back in the day that I liked, speaking of football games. And this was one of the things back when EA was actually a decent company and they had, studios that actually, like, developed games. They had a thing, they took the Madden engine and they created Mutant League Football. They had all these monster characters, and it was awesome. Like you just had these monsters playing against each other. Guy would catch the ball, you tackle them, and they just like get dismembered and shit like that. It was great. It was awesome, and I loved Mutant League Football, but they sadly that series went under. I wish they would bring that back, man. Mutant League Football was a blast.
I actually rather enjoyed the Blood Bowl video games. Those were pretty fun.
Yeah.
I like that. But I haven't actually played the tabletop version in a pretty long time.
But if anybody remembers Mutant League Football, yeah, shout out to that game. That game was fun.
I'm pretty sure that's probably something you can go and buy on Steam or something.
You can buy it's one of those you could get on an emulator, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You can download emulators all over the internet.
What was it released on?
I believe that was a Sega Genesis game.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, that would definitely need to be an emulator then.
Yeah, that was an old Sega Genesis title, I believe. Yeah, that was the last time for that. NBA Jam for SNES was awesome, dude. NBA Jam in the arcade was awesome. SNES, it was okay. In the arcade was where you had to play NBA Jam.
Yeah, like the last actual sports game I played was like this hockey game on the NES.
Nice.
Back in the late 80s.
Nice, dude, nice.
Not so big into sports. Oh man.
Oh man, Maranya, you're taking me back. Everybody remembers that, yeah.
There was also that one. It was like the little box that was green.
Uh-huh.
And it was football, and it was like just like a bunch of red dots.
Yep.
Do you remember that?
Yep, I remember that too.
Oh my god!
Yep.
It's like I had no idea how to play that freaking thing.
Yeah, I remember that too. Wow. God, man, you guys are taking me back. I realize how old I am because I actually owned most of that stuff. And if not owned, went to the arcade and played video games in an arcade. There's so many people now, dude, that don't even remember video games in an arcade.
Yeah, so we had this arcade back in the 80s and 90s called Diversions. And that was a really cool place. And we also had another one called Rocky J's. and I think and eventually they just all disappeared. I want to say maybe there's like one diversions maybe still open. I
Hmm.
I think they're probably all closed now. But yeah, dude, I spent a lot of days in my youth hanging out in arcades with my friends playing video games. It was fun.
Dude, yeah, you could just, oh my God, your parents would drop you off with like a stack of quarters and you just sit there and, for a couple hours, just like knocking shit out. And it'd be great, man. Like you could make, you could have a field day in an arcade.
Well, I mean, you still kind of have them. Occasionally, they'll be at a movie theater. There's always like
Yeah,
they're smaller. They're a lot smaller now.
there's actually, I think, there's still a couple full fledged arcades floating around. I forget what states they're in, but there's a few. But yeah, it's just there's not a whole lot. MCR, you asked if NBA Jam, if the announcer said he's on fire. Yes, it did that in the arcade game.
Hmm. But the thing I loved, man, was like playing Ninja Turtles. That was like one of my favorite games.
Dude, that was a great arcade game.
Oh yeah.
It was awesome. I used to play all the Tron games in the arcade.
Oh yeah.
The Star Wars machine that you could sit in. That was pretty wicked.
The one I really liked, there was one in the '80s where it was like line art, and you're
Mhm.
in a X-wing, you're going and you're doing the trench run.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that
That was like it was all like polygon art kind
yeah,
of.
the polygon art. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. That was really fun. And now you have like the newer one where you're able to go and select different missions. Like the Battle of Yavin, you can play as Darth Vader in his his TIE Advanced. And
Yeah.
the other thing too I also really liked was the CD-ROM, or not CD-ROM, the Laserdisc games.
Yeah. It was
Like
rough.
Dragon's Lair and Space Ace.
Oh God, Dragon's Lair in the arcade. My goodness, I remember that. I was like, oh my God, I'm in a cartoon. I remember the first time I played that, I was blown away. I was like, oh my God, I'm in this cartoon.
I remember Battlezone, Larry. Yes, vector graphics. I guess that's what they are. They're vector graphics. But
A shout out to MCR, Time Crisis, dude. I remember that too.
yeah.
There was an arcade game I played that had like a light gun peripheral. The House of the Dead, that was a good one. Oh God, Killer Instinct. I remember playing Killer Instinct. Of course, playing Mortal Kombat in the arcade was
Mortal Kombat, Pit Fighter, and another one is Samurai Showdown. I love Samurai Showdown.
oh dude, yeah. Oh, and the other arcade game I was hooked on, chat, Shinobi.
Shinobi. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
another good one.
Shout out to just Shinobi.
Oh man.
Oh,
Those are the days.
you guys are so old. Talk about Call of Duty, best game ever.
Yep.
I set up to Shinobi. God, oh God.
We are old.
I will say this in defense of COD. There was one COD I liked back in the day when World at War was out. I liked World at War. I could play the shit out of World at War, but that was like the only COD I really liked. And of course, like original Call of Duty 4, like back in the day, was good. But yeah, man, Call of Duty 4, like the original, and probably World at War. Those are the only two COD entries I ever liked. I was always more of a Halo person. Original Rainbow Six Three, Black Arrow. I like Siege, but I don't like it as much as I like the old Rainbow games. I'm a classic shooter guy. I definitely don't like the new Battle Royale stuff. I'm not into that. So yeah, I'm really picky about my gaming.
It's pretty funny. I was never really big into first-person shooters, which is ironic considering like the games I used to play was like Doom and
Yeah.
Wolfenstein. But like modern shooters, I was never really big into. I always preferred RPGs and strategy games like Warcraft.
Yeah.
And what kind of got me into first person shooter stuff was my wife because she really likes playing that. We started playing the original Borderlands and Borderlands 2, and that's what kind of got me into doing that. And I guess eventually I got better at it.
The Borderlands games aren't too bad though, dude. I mean, to be honest, I don't personally have them. I don't really play them, but you know, I've got plenty of friends that play them, and I've watched my friends play. I've watched friends stream them, and they're good. They have a hybrid like a plot. They have quests you can do. They have things, you know, and it's a good friends game. It's a good game to play with like your wife or somebody, you know, because you can team up and do quests and shit, and it's great.
Oh right, man. XCOM. That is a
Dude,
fun game.
you know, I've actually heard that, and I've heard people tell me, you know, like, oh God, you got to pick up XCOM 2 for your PC, man. You know, there's a lot of cool mods for it, and it's funny because I actually saw a mod for XCOM 2 where somebody did all the old GI Joes, and I'm like, oh wow, that would be so cool because you can, you know, it has character models of all the old Joes, and you can just drop in and pretend, you know, you're using a Joe team, and oh man, that would be great, you know, because I've seen people stream XCOM and XCOM 2 before, and those are good games.
I didn't play two. I played one. That was pretty fun. Which is really funny because there was a game. Well, it was basically a redo of a game that came out in the '80s called XCOM, which was basically the
Yeah.
exact same concept. All right, so we have one more article to kind of talk about, which is the thing that I think is really hilarious. I was actually planning on doing a video, but I ended up doing something else. I did my Donny Cates video instead, and that was mainly because I was tired.
Yeah.
Because I had an early morning meeting that day, and I had to get up at like 6, and that kind of sucked. So I did this instead, or I did that instead. But I wanted to talk about this because um, it's IO9. It's Gizmodo,
No, no.
and Gizmodo is terrible.
Oh,
And
yes.
it's just another thing to hate on fans because we're particular about our canon. We like our canon,
Hmm.
and canon being obsessed with it can be toxic.
Of
It's
course.
just like the
Of course.
stupidest thing ever.
Oh, again, this is a cop out, and this is a common cop out because you know you will see people, even professionals, come and frame this argument. If you try to call them out on their bullshit, they'll frame this argument because they want they want you to be the person in the wrong. They want you to feel like you're wrong for asking them questions or questioning their work. And really and truly, this thing about you know, oh, fans are toxic if they're you know, fascinated with canon. No, we're not toxic. We enjoy continuity. We enjoy, you know, world building and the proper elements of storytelling. What we don't enjoy is lazy storytelling, undeveloped characters,
Retconning everything.
shitty tropes, retconning. You know, we don't like that stuff. You know, I'm going to check out of a franchise. If you're going to sit there and completely nuke somebody's character or you know, give them a completely different origin, then do it in an organic way that makes some sense. You know, don't just sit there and retcon it stupidly and give them some kind of outlandish garbage. And most of the time, again, it goes to my earlier point. A lot of the writers that are being hired to do these don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. So they don't
Well,
know how to write in a cohesive manner.
not only that, it's they use this type of article as a defense for bad storytelling.
Oh yeah, it's a cop.
And that's what it is. Oh, you didn't like it? Well, you're just toxic. Oh, you like canon too much. You didn't like Picard because it went and it
Hmm.
changed all the canon of Star Trek.
Hmm.
Well, canon's toxic. Your love of canon is toxic, and it's like, dude, you don't understand. Fans, people who are fans, and the whole thing with fan coming from fanatic is that they love continuity. They love the canon. Um, I think sometimes, we're able to be a little flexible on certain things, especially if something was done poorly and they go and retcon it for the better. I typically don't have an issue with that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, that's part of being a fan is the love of the canon, debating it. I can think of several really good examples of fans debating something, and that's Batman the Killing Joke. Did Batman kill the Joker at the end? Because there's like this one panel, and it looks like he's strangling him, and you're not really sure. It's left kind of open ended, and that's stuff like that fans love to go and debate. Oh, he killed the Joker. No, he didn't.
Yeah,
Stuff like that. Batman never kills.
it's left with the it's left with the question of ambiguity.
Yes, but the idea of canon, and they complain about saying, "Oh, it should not be a set of laws." Well, yeah, what kind of is? It's like when you go and define a character, and I'm not saying that a character needs to be static and they can't evolve and change over time, but a good example is when we go and we look at the TV show Picard,
Right.
and that's like
Do we
Picard is not Picard.
right.
There's so many things that he does in that series that he would never do, and you can argue that they started in the movies, which is true, because if you watch the series, go watch the movies, and then you watch Picard, it's not the same fucking character,
No, not at all.
and people are gonna call that shit out.
Yeah. Hell yeah, they are. And we and I think most of us around the fandom have called it out because it was complete garbage. And again, you've got the the people running Picard um, definitely are people that use this. They use this type of defense for all the stuff that they did in the show. They use this shit like, oh, you're too hung up on canon, or you're too toxic, this and that. When in all reality, they only put in like a cursory friggin' performance, and they didn't wind up actually really writing any good segments for the characters. So it's like, what do you expect?
Hmm. Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's really kind of weird how these people are acting, and just the blatant abuse of canon, the abuse of these characters, and it's fine. It's fine. It's all good. It's like I got into this discussion with my wife about this, and I was talking about the whole thing with Picard, and
Hmm.
she's like, "What? He's not allowed to grow?" I was like, "Yeah, he's allowed to grow." It's like of course he is, but there's a certain point where a character stops being that character, and it's like we as people we evolve and change, yes, but I'm still fundamentally the same person I was. Even 20 years ago, I'd say I'm fundamentally at my core. I'm still that person. There
All
are
right.
other things I have changed and grown and I've developed, but fundamentally, like my morals, I mean, they really haven't changed that much. My political beliefs really haven't changed all that much. It's like I've definitely become more cynical over time, but I was always kind of cynical.
Hmm.
It's just gotten worse.
Right. Exactly. Well, I mean, that's just natural progression. The more life experience you get, it tends to drive you to cynicism at times. And, that's not necessarily a bad thing because you can really maintain objectivity as you get older. But,
Yeah.
but the thing is, I get exactly where you're coming from, dude. And sure, I just hate the cop out for lazy writing. I
Yeah.
I don't like that. I feel if you're a writer and you're confident enough to write, to put work out there, then you better damn well be confident enough to take criticism and say, I can see the flaws in this, and I shouldn't have it out in this condition. I'm going to at least go in and fix it. Be willing to own the shit that you do.
Yeah, I highlighted this one part of the article, which I always think is funny because they always start off and they're quasi defending it. Canon is not inherently a bad thing, of course. It provides structure to chaos, and it can provide a sense of not just continuity, but the sake of continuity and continuity progress. And they go and kind of change everything up here. It's like, but fans get too hung up on continuity, essentially, is what they're going to get at. There's still plenty of room for variety, interpretation, and even a relatively strictly defined canon. And it's like, yeah, of course, but and that's the thing. As you add more characters and new situations, you're growing that canon, and that's the thing that, particularly with Star Wars, that a lot of EU fans have gotten pissed about is the fact that they went and they tossed out the EU. So all this stuff that Disney is having to go and reinvent, all these female characters, all these strong female characters were already present in Star Wars. Yes, they weren't in the movies. They always like highlighting that it wasn't in the movies. But Star Wars itself has grown past the movies. We've had tons of books and comics, to Kathleen Kennedy's chagrin. They're out there. They've been around for decades. We've had several RPGs out there. One from Weston Games that actually donated the name Twi'lek, and George Lucas started using it. There's actually a lot of things actually that were in the Weston Games RPG that ended up really getting adopted in, and even into like the comics and books as well, which I thought was pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Did I lose you? Okay. So yeah, it's I don't get articles like this, but we all know they're fucking shills, and the reason why they're writing these articles is to go and defend the new stuff, the stuff that the fans don't like, and to try and justify it.
Oh yeah, all it is a double down, and again, this is by extension, this is all meant to be a defense for the people that follow the politically correct and SJW narratives. It's exactly what this is for. Again, this is another way of running interference for them so that they don't get called out.
Yes. Yeah, it's pretty sad.
That's why like I don't have a lot of respect for these sites. And I've seen it in not only entertainment journalism around the web with some of these sites. It's really bad in gaming journalism. It's awful.
No, yeah, it has gotten really bad. And that's the thing that's so crazy is I remember when IO9 and Gizmodo, I call it Gizmodo now. They used to be good sites. There's a lot of stuff I really enjoyed when it came to online outlets, and now they're all fucking SJW trash.
Yeah, they are. And that's what I'm trying to do with this new site that I was talking about, comics is I want to have that badge of honor and put stories out there and have people write stuff that goes on this site, and people read it and say, okay, I can dig that because these people are giving it to me 100% straight. They're not giving me a shill article here. That's what I want.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. We talked about this last week with the whole thing with journalism and the issues that most people that call themselves journalists are really activists.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100.
Or bloggers in the case of Mary Sue. That's what they are. They're bloggers. They're not journalists.
No, they're a bunch of cat ladies.
Seriously.
They're like, oh my god, I can't get laid. Those terrible toxic men.
Well, the funny thing is, I want to say that the majority of them are actually lesbians.
Oh, they probably are. Absolutely.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
No, you know, they're well, they're not the good kind. They're not the lipstick lesbians.
Oh man. That site, man, it cracks me up. They say some of the stupidest things.
Oh God, dude. It's some of the most like if you want a good humor read, then absolutely go there because you're gonna sit there guaranteed and like, spit coffee on your monitor when you read the articles because it's absolutely asinine stuff. Because there's no I don't think I know a single person that I would talk to that I know personally that would utter statements like some of the shit that's on there.
Yeah. 2020, folks.
Exactly.
All right, man. I think we got to start wrapping up. I need to get some sleep. It's been a rough week, and I got to be cognizant for Friday night tights.
All right, sounds good, brother. It's 1:03 a.m. where I'm at.
Oh,
So
that's right. You're East Coast. But why
yes,
don't you
sir.
go and plug your channel, plug your site, plug what you do.
All right, guys. Well, I am Drew Taylor, aka Supreme Heretic. Of course, I have my own YouTube channel. Myself and Toxic Man Flu was chilling in my chat. Just wrapped up the Pegasus Actual podcast that I do every Thursday. It's the best I shouldn't say darn, the best fracking BSG chat on the internet, man. We cover Ron Moore's Battlestar Galactica, and we're doing every episode every season right now, and you can watch it along with us if you go to sci-fi.com. They have all the Battlestar content that was out. It's up there on Sci-Fi to watch. So have a little binge party and catch up with where we're at because we're starting season 2 and episode 1 next week. Toxic Man Flu for $10. It's payday, but I'm too tired after Drew wore me up. Sorry, Tox. Sorry about that, buddy. But you have fun. Admit it. Anyways, besides that, you can read me on boundingintocomics.com. And on April 20th, I will officially be launching my own news site called sickestofall.com. And of course, our slogan is nuking narrative. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So I thank you guys for your time. I thank you guys in the chat for being awesome. And man, comics, you are the shit, dude.
Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. All right, so gotta take care of these last minute super chats real quick. So Toxic Man Flu, thank you very much for the $10 super chat. You didn't need to do that, man. Of course, we're ready. It's payday when I'm too tired after Drew wore me out. And also from Crazy Cat Guy, thank you for the stream, guys. Stay healthy and try not to get too shack happy. Good night. Thank you very much, sir. Again, $5 super chat from Crazy Cat Guy. You did need to do that, but I do appreciate it. Yeah, we're all good here. There's I would say a bit of a scare. My locally, God, I can't fucking talk. My local grocery store. I combined two words. Turns out one of the employees got tested positive for coronavirus. So I don't think I've come in contact with it. And I said the word, so stream instantly demonetized. But yeah, it's just kind of weird, man. It's like it's popping up in some of the scariest places where you don't want it, which is where your food is at.
Right.
So yeah. But that person has been put on leave, and hopefully my local grocery store chain is taking care of that person because these are the people out there that are truly kind of putting their lives out there at risk by making sure that we have food and whatnot.
guys, make sure, honestly, to expand on what comics is saying. Make sure that you thank, like, if you know people that are truckers, thank them. If you know grocery store workers, people that are keeping the food and supply chain running, thank them. Thank the people on the front lines, all any medical personnel right now, because everybody's doing a bang up, outstanding job. And as much as the media are being Debbie Downers and trying to tell us, the sky is falling, these people out there are really doing the work right now. They're the ones that are showing what true American spirit is all about, and what global spirit is all about in the other countries as well.
Yeah.
So take pride in that, and give these people their props, man.
Absolutely, and that's the main thing. I did with my last video. It's something I don't think I do enough. Is show appreciation for the positive things. I know that it's very easy to get kind of dragged down in the negativity because that's what we talk about. We make fun of the terrible things that's coming in entertainment, and of course, this is nothing more than a distraction from the real world problems that we have to deal with and face. And that's kind of the reason why we get so mad about it, is because when we just want good escapism, and that's not what we're getting anymore. We're getting people's political agendas in our entertainment, and nobody fucking wants that.
Nope.
So thank you very much to all of you who are watching this. I do appreciate your views. I enjoy making content. It's become fun again now that for whatever reason, I guess YouTube is no longer punishing me. I guess it's because I'm making more content now. But I got to hang out with a lot of cool people. I get to hang out with Gary and talk to Odin and Jeremy and and we get to complain about stuff that's really not important, but it is because it's important
Right.
to us. And I get to hang out with you guys. I get to hang out with you, Drew. It's a shame that that the others couldn't make it tonight. I'm totally blanking. Tom, and Script Doctor.
Yeah.
But wishing them well. Hopefully they're getting a good night's sleep. And we have another super chat from Toxic Man Flu.
Yeah, you two are helping us stay sane. That counts too, man. Tox, appreciate you, and thank you guys again out in the chat, man. You guys are awesome. Appreciate the support. At the end of the day, I'm a voice coming at you through the internet. Sometimes on camera, and I'm honored just to try and inform and entertain you guys. That's the thing, and that's always needed. So thanks for your appreciation and your support.
Absolutely. And as always, folks, if you enjoy my crappy content and shitty opinions and you're just stumbling onto the stream, please go and hit that like button as well as the subscribe button. I'll be on Friday Night Tights tomorrow. Of course, I'll be running late because when Gary's starting, I'll be working. And then this Sunday, I'm planning to have a stream with Spike Valentine, and he's gonna be telling us some stories about Donny Cates because Spike used to work in the comic book industry. Technically, he still does, and so he has some stories about Donny Cates. So this is gonna be interesting.
That'll be worth it.
Yeah. So I'll catch you next. I'll catch you next time, folks. God, I can't talk.
Yeah.
It's late. Night.
Good night, folks.